Go up.
Follow me.
What I'm trying to explain here is that we have two sides. It's very difficult to know where the road begins and the pedestrian area, the footway stops. We're on an island here in the middle of O'Connell Street, and as you can see, if you step on the wrong way slightly, you're going to get squashed. Now, there used to be 100mm curbs on either side here of the island and on both sides of the street. So on Henry Street side and on the Earl Street side. But in 2002 to 2003, when they were preparing for the Lewis, they completely redid the whole of O'Connell Street. And what they did was they took away them important queues, them steps. And it doesn't just confuse visually impaired people, but it also confuses other people too. There was a lady killed when she came back from holiday from England in 2003 because of that design. She walked out in front of a bus, not realising that she was walking onto the road, and she was from Dublin originally herself, and she wasn't even partially sighted. She was perfectly sighted. Now we also have all the high contrast for partially sighted people. Not much of it here, so there's not much of an indicator to explain to people again, to show when you're walking the difference between the pedestrian zone, the footway, and the vehicle zone. So it's like a mixture between shared space and something else. It's falling between every stool. But it's just one example right in the heart of Dublin of exceptionally bad and dangerous design, and it stops visually impaired people from accessing the city, because rather than putting themselves in danger, they just avoid it altogether. Voice of Visual Impairment was set up in July 2019. It is a very specific, a very special type of organisation, because it exists to try to fit into something made by the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities in 2018. And effectively, it's an organisation that cannot be a service provider. That's really important. That's something that people always assume for disabled people, or will such and such not help you. Okay, so you can't be a service provider if you're DPO. You cannot be led by non-disabled people. So you have to be disabled led. All your members, or a clear majority, have to be disabled, and your directors, if you have a board, have to be disabled as well, every one of them. So they're fairly strict criteria. And DPOs, as they're called, disabled persons organisations, are the only representative organisations, and they're supposed to be prioritised in all statutory consultations, and they are, I suppose, the voice and the representative voice of visually impaired people, or disabled people, but visually impaired people in our case. So what that means is effectively that where you have other service providers, etc., pretending to be the voice of advocacy, that is against the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. It's against international law. But we've such a bad tradition in this country, basically no tradition of the state helping out disabled people's organisations themselves. It's all, the state has been completely married to, like a shadow state, with service providers themselves. So the voice of disabled people through their own organisations have been completely left out. So VVI is our attempt, and very strong, we will get there. It's our ambition and our right to be able to claim this space of advocacy for the state to always be prioritise the voice of disabled people through their representative organisations when it's talking about anything to do with disability, or anything to do with even traffic management, or anything to do with anything, because we have rights. It's not about aesthetics. It's not about, well, what we think might look nice. We have the right to access our environment safely. We have the right to access information on the same point in time as anybody else. We have them rights. They are not negotiable. They are rights, they're human rights, and they're legally enforceable as well. There is one other thing too. The social model of disability means we say disabled people, disabled being a verb. So we are disabled because we are disabled by society every day. We are disabled by ignorance. We are disabled by bad design. We are disabled by bad planning. We are disabled by prejudice. That is what disables us. We are not born disabled. We are born with impairments. We are born with differences. What actually disables us is other people. What actually disables us are systems that are here and that have to go. So the whole idea is the elimination of disability by the elimination of prejudice. So it's like any other construct that is bad, it has to go.
Okay, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, for me, it starts with lack of access to information. So you're homeless, like I am, and you can't access information about homelessness. Simple things like the free phone become inaccessible because it's a touch tone phone, and there's a whole nightmare of things that you have to go through to access it. And then there's trying to access information about, say, the housing register, or if you're on it, or if you can get on it. And all the forms are inaccessible, so you need someone else to fill them for you. And then what sometimes happens is you'll get someone who oversteps the line where they don't actually ask you and they assume certain things, and then the form gets filled out with inaccurate information. And of course, you can't actually verify what's on the form, so you're signing something and you don't actually know what you're signing. There's more barriers than I can even begin to discuss. I mean, the internet is a godsend. The likes of Citizens Information don't really know how to deal with visually impaired people or how to make the information accessible to you. There's just so many barriers to doing things independently yourself. It's like they either expect you to, just want to hand it to someone else and have someone else do it all for you, and that you're completely useless. And no, I want to do these things myself, so I know that they're right for me and that they are correct and accurate. Otherwise you end up in situations, for example, I had a situation where a third party had applied for funding for me that I didn't know about, and I'm the one who got in trouble for it because I didn't know it had been applied for. There's literally hundreds of situations where, due to lack of access to information, you can't physically do what is being asked of you. And they will just get someone else to do it for you. No, it's actually my right to do it myself. I know I'm ranting. I'm ranting. I'm ranting. How long have I been homeless? I have been homeless since I was 15. I've been registered blind since 2003. I can't access things like accessible technology because I don't have PPS allocated correctly. There's a whole bunch of other complications in there. And I can't find any way to rectify any of this because you just get, go to a solicitor, or go to this person, or go to this person. And it's just like, you never get the same information from any of these people. Hostels are a nightmare and not accessible. I'll give you an example. I was in a hostel, would have been about a year and a half ago now. And they literally put me in a room that had no lights in it. So they turn off all the lights at 10 o'clock and this room would be pitch black, and there was no lighting in it at all. And I heard someone else to say, because I actually spoke to them and said, look, I need the lights on. And they're like, but we have to turn all the main lights on for there to be lights there. And literally the woman in the next room to me turned around and said, oh, she's blind, she doesn't need lights. And I just went, seriously? I need lights more than anyone else to define where things are. It was just a whole bunch of assumptions that were faulty. Yeah, you get that a lot because, for example, I can perceive where corners of walls are, and I still have peripheral vision. But people assume that you see black. I don't see black. I see a myriad of shades of grey, and some colours like red will stand out more to me, green will stand out more to me. But I don't see I'm not the stereotypical blind person in a Hollywood film feeling the walls to get around. And this is how they expect you to be. There was a lot of drug use happening in the toilets in the particular facility I was in, and it got to the point where I wouldn't use the toilet. I would go out and I would go to McDonald's and I would use the toilet in McDonald's rather than, yeah, it was safer.
And you've had to sleep rough on Grafton Street and elsewhere for a very long time.
Years and years. It's only literally been, I ended up in a women's refuge in 2019, and it's only after that point that they've started to take responsibility or sort of start to show that they're going to have to put me somewhere. But I was literally sleeping rough from 10 years nearly.
And you have comorbidities, it's not just visual impairment, you've also got autism and...
I have fibromyalgia, yep. So this complicates matters further. If I'm in a high stress situation, my pain level goes up incredibly. It's a chronic pain condition that basically causes issues with your joints, issues with your intermuscular pain, and it can literally make you bedridden from one day to the next. I mean, I have good days, I have bad days, but if I'm stressed, it will literally take me down for a week at a time. As for autism, they wouldn't recognise autism if it was to smack them in the face. They don't understand how to interact with someone who has autism. They don't know how to ask the right questions.
So it's very frustrating not having people listen to you, hardly ever.
It feels like you're screaming into the void. It's like you're voiceless. I mean, you can literally write down your needs on a piece of paper. I need X, Y, Z. Please help me with this. And they will go, sorry. And that's it. I think they probably have enough.
I play a bit of everything, mainly the keyboard-based stuff. Though it'd be probably more up my alley. But I try to chance my arm just with anything, you know. But because I used to do that in gigs down in Inisheer, cabaret gigs, and I played there for 5 years. Just played a bit of everything.
There are obstacles on both sides of the footpath here. So there's obstacles both on my left and on my right. And I'm literally bouncing between two sets of obstacles to navigate up Capel Street. And it's not like they're standard obstacles. So there can be a snagged problem where you end up tied up in a guideline, or there are planters that are parked on my right-hand side that seem to serve no purpose other than the fact that they're there. I am finding obstacles that literally should not be there. What is the point of them other than aesthetics?
We have here is an ordinary iPhone, and since 2009, iPhones have had something called VoiceOver, which is a built-in screen reader. Now, I don't actually use the screen most of the time because I don't need it. It just wastes batteries. So, but for your benefit,
screen curtain off.
I put it on so you can see what I'm doing. So clearly I can take phone calls, make phone calls, all the rest of it. But let's say, just to show you something I can do, I can read email, I can read everything there, podcasts.
Page 1, dot, the journal.
Well, here we go. Let's see what's in the journal today.
The journal, i.e., switch publication, button. Belarus says it will repatriate migrants at Polish border as EU mounts further sanctions. Posted 14 minutes
So
ago.
I've got it
2057
fast enough because
Zero comments.
I don't need it slow, because I sort of, I've got it just to reading fast, you know.
Button.
So I can put my headphones in and be on the train or bus and be reading the newspaper or
Canadian
whatever.
terrorism threat level raised to severe after Liverpool bomb blast. Posted 7 minutes. Belarus says it will repatriate migrants
So I can
at
go
Polish
in
border
here
as EU mounts further sanctions. Posted
and
14. Selected.
let's see, read the article.
Back button. Share art. Read full article with voiceover. Belarus is working to repatriate migrants massed on its border with Poland. President said today, apparently aiming to defuse the crisis ahead of an EU meeting over new
But
sanctions.
read on, and then I can go to comments if there are any.
Belarus says it will repatriate
No comments here.
back button.
You wouldn't know it. And then we go back.
A very worrying picture. There's been a 25% increase in COVID hospital admissions in a week. Posted 54 minutes
Okay,
ago.
I'll see if they can get comments here.
Back button. Share. Read comments with voiceover.
Here we go.
New comment by Colin Cusack. Posted 6 hours ago. Lads, overheated happens to an old car, but we pump billions.
See, it's always worth listening to the comments in the journal. So basically,
New comment by Madra. Posted 6 hours ago. The number.
that's how I stop. That's how I start. And so pause, etc. Now, basically, what this is about is so I can read books effectively on this, and other people use Rosita. She uses something called TalkBack, which is on Android. But Apple were the first to come out with it. I'm not pushing any brands or anything. I don't have any love for any brands. But what's lovely is it just gives you that independence. You can use GPS, so I can find out if I'm on a bus exactly where I am using certain apps, and or if I'm on a street, it can be useful. I can even put into Google Maps where I'm going, and so if I've never been to a place before, and this will basically give me directions. So I can walk there, and it'll, just like anybody else, it'll tell you when you're outside. And it's fantastic, you know, it's a great enabler. And there's other stuff it does. Be My Eyes. I had something in the fridge there. I didn't know it was minced beef. So I just basically went to Be My Eyes. Somewhere the other side of the world answered it. He said, point your phone at the fridge, at the meat. So I pointed it. He said, that's minced beef and it's going to expire. It can do, there's so much it can do effectively. And you've just got your bog standard alarm or timer. So if I say set timer for 30 seconds.
Okay, your timer is set for 30 seconds.
You can see there it's ticking away, it should be. And I can just stop it.
23 seconds.
Stop timer.
I stopped the timer.
So it's as simple as that. All apps work just equally well, equally simply. And there's lots of other little tiny devices. Like I have a 1 cup kettle that I can actually just put a cup under it. And I don't have to worry about the spillage of the water or anything like that. It'll just pour exactly 1 cup into it. So there I have me tea or coffee handy enough, you know. Open Be My Eyes.
Be My Eyes. Get live video support. Call a volunteer. Button. Using rear camera. Please wait. Finding the first available volunteer. Connected.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, how's it going there? I wonder if you could help me with something. If you could tell me what this is here.
Could you just turn it around for me?
Yeah.
So that's red cheddar cheese.
Red cheddar cheese, excellent. I don't know if you can see the best before date on it, or is there a date?
Right, could you just turn that around one more time for me?
Yeah.
And then just point the camera a bit downwards. Quite difficult to, a bit to the right, just a small bit to the right. 3rd of December 21.
Oh, that's lovely. That is excellent. Thank you very much. You're absolutely brilliant. Fair play to you. Thank you. All right. Bye. Bye. I suppose we're very interested in growing voice of visual impairment, and we expect a very bright future, because the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities have given us all these rights, and they've given us all these powers of prioritisation and consultation, etc. So when you join Voice of Visual Impairment, your voice will be amplified, and it's better than just being an atomised individual voice or under the umbrella of a service provider. We don't have the bells and whistles they have because we've got zero funding, but that will change. So the future is so bright, I got to wear shades. Actually, I should be saying the future is so bright. Voice of Visual Impairment is the thing to join. Voice of Visual Impairment is definitely anybody who is visually impaired or is a guardian or a parent of somebody who is visually impaired is very welcome to join. It's free to join. Membership is completely free. You just have to write your name and local authority area to info@vvi.ie, and you're very welcome to our fold. And your voice is very important to us, and that's what we are there to represent. And yeah, please join us. You're very welcome.